Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. Our topic is People as Resource, which is a crucial aspect of organizational success. On this first slide, you'll see the title, highlighting the importance of valuing our people. Later, we'll explore how people truly are our most valuable resource. We'll cover key concepts, strategies, and best practices to maximize human potential. So, let's get started and see how people can make a difference. Let's take a quick look at the contents of today's presentation. We start with an overview, then move into various aspects of human resources, including economic activities divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. We'll also explore secondary and tertiary activities in more detail, as well as market and non-market activities. We'll examine who participates in economic activities, focusing on the roles of men and women, and then look at the quality of our population and how it impacts development. Moving forward, we'll review health-related topics, including health infrastructure over the years and various health indicators. Education is another key theme, covering the number of higher education institutions, enrollment figures, and faculty details. We'll also analyze unemployment, distinguishing between seasonal and disguised unemployment, and consider the overall health and education infrastructure in shaping our economy. All these points are interconnected, helping us understand the broader picture of socioeconomic development. So, let's dive deeper into each of these sections as we progress through the presentation. Let's talk about the idea of people as resource. Essentially, this means viewing a country's workforce in terms of their existing skills and abilities. When we look at the population from this productive perspective, we're focusing on how they can contribute to creating the gross national product. It's important to remember that, like other resources such as land or capital, the population itself is a resource, what we call a human resource. Now, often people focus only on the challenges of a large population, like providing enough food, education, and healthcare. But there's a positive side too. When we develop this human resource, by making people more educated and healthier, we're engaging in what's called human capital formation. This process boosts the productive power of the country just like physical investments in machinery or infrastructure do. So, in summary, a large and well-developed population can be a tremendous asset, contributing significantly to a country's growth and development. This idea ties into our broader theme of how investing in people is crucial for national progress. When we talk about people who are part of a workforce, we refer to them as human resources. It's important to understand that not only do more educated and healthier people benefit through higher incomes, but society as a whole also gains in many indirect ways. For example, the advantages of having a more educated or healthier population can spread beyond those directly affected, uplifting the entire community. Now, here's a key point. Human capital, which is basically the skills, knowledge, and health of people, is actually superior to other resources like land or physical capital. Why? Because human resources can actually make land and capital more useful. Land and capital can't do much on their own. They need people to utilize and transform them into productive assets. And if we look at the context of India, for many decades, a large population was seen as a liability rather than an asset. But as we've learned, when invested in education and health, this huge population can become one of the country's greatest strengths, fueling growth and development. So, understanding the value of human resources is crucial to grasping the bigger picture of economic progress. Let's take a closer look at the different types of economic activities. First, we have the primary activities. These are activities that involve extracting natural resources directly from the earth, such as farming, fishing, mining, and forestry. They form the foundation of many economies because they provide the raw materials needed for other industries. Next, we move to secondary activities. These involve manufacturing and processing. Essentially, they take raw materials from primary activities and turn them into finished products or components. Examples include factories producing textiles, automobiles, and construction materials. These activities add value to raw resources and help develop infrastructure and industries. Finally, we have tertiary activities. These are service-oriented. They include everything from retail and transportation to education, healthcare, and entertainment. These services support the economy by providing essential functions that help individuals and businesses operate smoothly. Understanding these categories helps us see how economies are structured and how different activities are interconnected. Each type plays a vital role in economic development and stability. Let's take a closer look at primary activities. These are the economic activities that involve directly extracting natural resources from the earth. Think about agriculture, where we cultivate crops and raise livestock. Fishing, which involves catching fish and other aquatic creatures. Animal husbandry, where we rear animals for various purposes, as well as mining and quarrying, which include extracting minerals, metals, and stones from the ground. These activities are the foundation of many economies because they utilize natural resources directly from the environment. Understanding these primary activities helps us see how societies rely on nature for their livelihood and how they form the basis for other types of economic activities. They are crucial because they connect us to the Earth's resources and demonstrate the importance of sustainable use of these resources for future generations. Now, let's move on to the next point, secondary activities. Manufacturing is classified as a secondary activity, which means it involves taking natural resources and transforming them into useful products. Essentially, it's about modifying raw materials into finished goods or components that we use every day. This process is crucial because it adds value to the natural resources we have. For example, turning iron ore into steel or cotton into clothing. Understanding this helps us see how natural resources are not just used directly, but also play a vital role in creating a wide range of products. This connection between natural resources and manufacturing ties back to the overall theme of how different activities contribute to the economy and our everyday lives. Now, let's move on to the next category of economic activities, which are called tertiary activities. These are the activities that support the primary and secondary sectors. In other words, they provide services rather than goods. For example, banking and transport are classic examples of tertiary activities. They play a crucial role because they help facilitate the functioning of the other sectors, making sure resources move smoothly and people's needs are met efficiently. As we explore the overall structure of the economy, you'll see how these tertiary activities are essential in creating a well-rounded, functioning society. Now, let's move on to the next key concept, market activities. When we talk about market activities, we're referring to the process that happens when a product or service is produced with the intention of being sold in the market. Essentially, it's about the steps involved in bringing a product or service from the producer to the consumer. These activities are fundamental because they drive how goods and services reach the people who need or want them. Understanding market activities helps us see the bigger picture of how businesses operate within the economy. They are a crucial part of the overall economic system, connecting production with consumption and ensuring that goods and services are available in the marketplace. So, whenever you hear about market activities, think of it as the dynamic process that facilitates the flow of products and services from creators to consumers. Non-market activities are interesting because they don't involve any financial transactions at all. These are activities that people do without the goal of earning money or making a profit. For example, think about household work that a housewife does: cooking, cleaning, taking care of family members. These are all essential, but don't generate any income directly. Similarly, a farmer growing crops for his own family's consumption is another example. He's not selling the crops for profit, he's doing it for personal use. And even a teacher giving tuition to his own child, again, no money changes hands in that scenario. The key point here is that these activities are driven by necessity, care, or personal needs, not by economic gain. They contribute a lot to our daily lives and well-being, even though they aren't counted in economic statistics like GDP. Recognizing these activities helps us understand the full picture of economic and social contributions beyond just market transactions. So, in the broader context of our presentation, Non-market activities remind us that not everything valuable is measured in money, but they are still vital for a functioning society. Now, let's look at how economic activities are classified based on who performs them and their nature. These activities are grouped into three main sectors: primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary sector includes activities like agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, mining, and quarrying. These are mostly natural resource-based activities that form the backbone of many economies. The secondary sector involves manufacturing, which means turning raw materials into finished products, like in factories. Then, we have the tertiary sector, which covers services such as trade, transport, communication, banking, education, health, tourism, insurance, and other service-related activities. These services help in distributing goods, facilitating communication, and supporting various economic functions, ultimately contributing to the production of goods and services. All these activities add value to our national income, and that's why we call them economic activities. Now, within these, there are two important categories. First, market activities. These are performed for pay or profit, like when someone sells goods or provides services and earns wages or profits. This includes activities by individuals, businesses, and even government services. Second, we have non-market activities, which are done mainly for self-consumption. Think of a farmer growing food for themselves or building a house for their own use. These activities might not generate direct income, but are still vital because they support daily life and personal well-being. Understanding these distinctions helps us see how different types of work contribute to our economy and overall development. The quality of a population is a crucial aspect to consider when we discuss overall development. It primarily depends on three key factors: literacy rate, health, and skill formation. When we talk about literacy, we're referring to how well people can read and write, which directly influences their ability to access opportunities and contribute productively to society. Health, on the other hand, is indicated by life expectancy, meaning how long people are expected to live. A healthier population tends to be more active, productive, and capable of supporting economic growth. Skill formation is also vital, as it reflects the level of education and training people have acquired, making them more competent in their work. When these factors are positive, high literacy, good health, and strong skills, the overall quality of the population improves. And this is incredibly important because the quality of the population ultimately influences the growth rate of a country. A literate and healthy population is truly an asset. It drives innovation, productivity, and sustainable development. So, investing in education, healthcare, and skill development isn't just about individual well-being. It's about shaping the future growth and prosperity of the entire nation. Education plays a crucial role in the growth of society. It not only helps improve the national income, but also enriches our cultural fabric. When people are educated, governance becomes more efficient because informed citizens can participate actively and responsibly. There's a strong focus on making elementary education accessible to everyone, ensuring that all children, especially girls, can stay in school and receive quality education. This is vital for creating an equitable society and empowering all genders. Additionally, we see the establishment of innovative institutions like Navodaya Vidyalaya in each district. These pace-setting schools aim to set high standards and serve as models for quality education across the country. All these efforts are interconnected and align with the broader goal of building a more educated, inclusive, and progressive society. Education truly is the foundation for sustainable development and social harmony. Now, let's take a closer look at Slide 14, which covers the number of institutions of higher education, as well as their enrollment and faculty. This slide is really important because it gives us a snapshot of the current landscape of higher education in our region. First, we'll explore how many higher education institutions are operating, which helps us understand the scale of the sector. The number of institutions can indicate the diversity and availability of educational opportunities for students. Next, we'll look at enrollment figures. This tells us how many students are actually enrolled across these institutions, providing insight into the demand for higher education and the potential growth areas. Finally, we'll consider faculty numbers, which are crucial because a well-qualified and sufficient faculty base is essential for maintaining quality education. The ratio of students to faculty also impacts the overall learning environment. Connecting all these points, we see how the growth in institutions and enrollment reflects the increasing importance placed on higher education. It also highlights the need to ensure that faculty numbers and quality keep pace with student demand to sustain a high standard of education. Overall, this slide underscores the vital link between the availability of institutions, student participation, and faculty resources, all of which shape the future of higher education in our region. When we talk about health, we're really referring to more than just the absence of illness. It's about enabling a person to truly realize their full potential. When someone is healthy, they have the energy and resilience to take on challenges and perform at their best. This, in turn, directly impacts their ability to contribute effectively to the growth of the organization. If health is compromised, it becomes difficult to maximize productivity and achieve goals. So health is not just a personal matter. It's a fundamental foundation for well-being, growth, and success, both for individuals and the organization as a whole. Remember, taking care of health is investing in our overall capacity to thrive. Let's take a moment to look at the evolution of health infrastructure over the years. As you can see, this slide highlights how our healthcare facilities and systems have developed in response to changing needs and technological advancements. In the early years, health infrastructure was quite basic, often limited to simple clinics and small hospitals. Over time, we saw significant improvements with the introduction of larger hospitals and specialized care centers, which allowed for better patient outcomes and more comprehensive treatment options. Moving forward, the development of modern health infrastructure has been driven by technological progress. Think of the rise of digital records, advanced diagnostic tools, and telemedicine. These innovations have expanded access, especially in remote areas, making healthcare more inclusive and efficient. It's also important to recognize the role of government policies and international collaborations in shaping these changes. They have helped to fund and upgrade facilities, ensuring that infrastructure keeps pace with the increasing demand for quality healthcare. Overall, this progression reflects a broader theme of resilience and adaptation in our healthcare system, key factors that underpin the improvements we've discussed throughout this presentation. Understanding this history helps us appreciate the ongoing efforts needed to sustain and further enhance healthcare infrastructure for the future. Unemployment, as we understand it, occurs when people who are willing to work at the current wages are unable to find jobs. Now, in the context of India, this issue is present both in rural and urban areas, but the types of unemployment we see in each are quite different. In rural areas, for instance, we often talk about seasonal unemployment, which happens during certain times of the year when agricultural activity is low, and disguised unemployment, where more people are employed than actually necessary for the workload. On the other hand, urban areas mainly face educated unemployment, where individuals with higher education are unable to find suitable jobs. This distinction is important because it reflects the different economic structures and challenges in rural versus urban settings. Understanding these differences helps us grasp the overall picture of unemployment in India, which is a key part of economic development and policy planning. It reminds us that solutions need to be tailored to address these specific types of unemployment effectively. Now, let's talk about seasonal unemployment. This type of unemployment occurs when people are unable to find jobs during certain months of the year. It's especially common among those who depend on agriculture for their livelihood. You see, agriculture involves specific busy seasons, like sowing, harvesting, weeding, and thrashing, when work is plentiful. But during other months, there simply isn't enough work available, which leads to unemployment. This pattern is a natural part of agricultural economies, but it also highlights the importance of diversifying income sources or developing other sectors to reduce such seasonal gaps. Understanding this helps us see how seasonal factors influence overall employment patterns and economic stability. Let's talk about disguised unemployment. This occurs when people seem to be employed, but in reality, their work doesn't really add to productivity. For example, imagine a family working on an agricultural plot. They might have more people working there than actually needed. In this case, the work might require only 5 people, but 8 are involved. The extra 3 people are what we call disguised unemployed. They are working, but their contribution doesn't increase the output. If we were to remove these 3 individuals, the productivity of the field wouldn't decline at all. This highlights that their work is essentially redundant. Disguised unemployment is common in agricultural settings, especially among family members engaged in subsistence farming. Recognizing this helps us understand that not all employment is equally productive, which is a key concept when analyzing economic development and labor market efficiency. So, to sum up, you've seen how important inputs like education and health are in transforming people into valuable assets for the economy. When people are educated and healthy, they can contribute more effectively to economic growth and development. We've also looked at the 3 main sectors of the economy, the primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, and understood the different kinds of economic activities that happen in each. Additionally, we discussed the problem of unemployment, which remains a challenge in many areas. Unemployment not only affects individuals and families, but also impacts the overall economic progress of a country. And to wrap things up, I shared the inspiring story of a village that once had no jobs at all. But through some changes and opportunities, that same village now has plenty of employment, showing how development and a little effort can make a huge difference. All these points tie back to our overall theme of understanding how various factors and sectors work together to shape our economy and improve people's lives.